Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Archery at Home with Patrick Huston. So today we're going to be talking technically about the rollover wrist. This back portion of my arm, basically the draw hand, as many of you will know. So if you've got your clinibands, we can start and just get going with the whole idea. We'll do some nice little warm-ups. You can warm up in so many different ways in archery, really, so long as you get the things which you want to be moving activated and starting to just do a little bit of work resisting the forces of, well, anything. Frankly, you can do this with your arms. You can do just that and it will have a really useful effect. You don't need to have a cliniband at all. So just get involved, copy me, and we'll see what we're able to do. You can also use a shoelace, anything at all to simulate a string. So we're just going to go around in this slightly swinging path. I've got my elbow lifted away from my body, it's always lifted away from my body, and I've pushed forward into this front corner of the shoulder. So there's always that alignment feeling that I can come down and slot onto. I've pushed away from my body, and then we're just swinging backwards and forwards just like that. You can feel the line. Remember, we never pull with the hand first, we want the hand relaxed. So most people in the UK, and frankly an awful lot of the world, have issues with their release and back tension because, in my opinion, of the way they first learn archery. You're taught, pull the string to your face, pull the string back to your chin, pull it under your chin. At first, pull it back to your mouth, then it's under your chin. So this comes in underneath your chin. You often see the head going forward towards it. I would say, and my coach Richard would agree, put the elbow behind or draw to the neck. But if you put the elbow behind with this relaxed, that elbow and that hand has to come into the right place. We simply lift up and we're there. The important thing is not to lead with the hand. We don't want to draw the hand to the face. We put the elbow, lead from the elbow, behind us, and the hand relaxes. The bit you'll see change is just here, just beside my tattoo. This, I don't know how well you can see, CDMX 3. I got a bronze medal in Mexico City, 3 CDMX. It's branding they have up everywhere. It's like, you know, the thing of the city. So that, if I pull to my face, my hand stays in this square shape that you'll see various variations of. You really don't want that, where your fingers are on top. You want your fingers, we want to have our fingers relaxed, with the third finger almost stretching off the string. Some people, Oh Jin-hyuk won the 2012 Olympic Games, his finger literally slips off the string. So you'll see people when they draw with their hand, their knuckles might pop out, their wrist will kink in, or if they've relaxed that enough to get their elbow in line, they'll have this very straight, very square hand. I used to. You can look up many films of me and I've got my fingers in this really long, sort of straight shape. Whereas now, having gone through the process of thumbing, where you put the thumb in behind the sternocleidomastoid, I went from having my wrist straight like this to that. By putting my thumb in behind here, that cocked my wrist out and allowed me to break that line of tension that had always been in my shot. Back tension. Back tension doesn't exist. Back tension is simply the activation of the muscles in the back. That's what we want. What you feel quite often as back tension is this tension in the hand and the forearm in the bicep fighting what's going on in the back. You'll see the difference when I draw with my hand tight, my shoulder blade bunches up in behind me. Whereas if I let my hand relax, you'll see my shoulder blade drops down into my body in a far more efficient way. The elbow is flat, straight with the upper arm. Sometimes you can see it even below if there's a lot of bicep pulling in. But you want your hand like this, with this rolled over wrist. It's what Richard Priestman talks about all the time. It's the rolled over wrist. We don't want the claw, or the square hand as I would describe it. We want this sort of relaxed triangular shape rather than this square shape. How do we do that then? There are a variety of ways to make the rolled over wrist. The most important element, the thing that you need to happen, is relaxation. We want, instead of this tension, we want relaxation. One way to do it, come up to full draw, tense your hand more, make more tension, and then relax it. Just let your fingers go wherever they want. Clinibands are really good for this because they hold the fingers so well. There are various ways you can set up the fingers that I'll go through with a bow of exactly how to get it, but the general idea is that you'll end up with 2 fingers pointing in and 1 finger halfway out stretched like that. You can look at pretty much any archer on the World Archery YouTube page. They're all international medalists. They pretty much all have most of the technical elements there. You will pretty much always see this stretched out look with the bottom finger, and you can really see quite an angle, and in some archers quite a rotation of the wrist. My coach would teach you to really cock the wrist out, and that's because that is so counter to this tension point that holds so many archers back. And we're wanting to make shooting easy. If you make less tension inside your shot, if you don't start the draw like this, where you pull up into your body, that locks the hand, that locks the bicep, and then you lift up the bow, and then you pull back towards you, and you squeeze something in your back, and something down there, and something else to do that, and you end up with yourself in generally not a mile away from the right line, but with an awful lot more muscles activated, and it's just a lot harder to shoot. I shot like this for a long time. I got to some very good levels, but what I'm able to do now is trot out that standard consistently. I didn't need the intensity of tournament to make that difficult shot better. I never used to set personal best in practice. I'd always outperform that in tournament. And that's because my technique with this tight hand was difficult for me to shoot. I also spent a long time with my front shoulder coming up, which is how I developed the inside out front shoulder. And that sets really well. That's really good. But I needed the intensity of tournament to make this tension here move through the shot and execute well enough to score well. Over the years I've improved, I've changed quite a few things. I went through the journey of thumbing. I de-thumbed once I had, in the break when I had Lyme disease. I still have some elements of Lyme disease, but that's me for life, I believe. Very, very low level, so it's all good. But I de-thumbed when I came back from that because I just felt that the movement in my front shoulder to get my thumb in place took a little bit too much awareness, too much conscious involvement to set that shoulder back into place. And now I've got the rollover wrist that Richard taught me, got the inside out shoulder that I taught myself back in Northern Ireland, learning from the likes of Kevin Bloomfield, Carl Watson, watching a bit of Mark Nesbitt, watching Simon Terry, Brady Ellison on the World Archery YouTube. I decided that I would push into this bottom corner. There's an interesting thing. I actually have what's called dyskinesis. It's not a technically correct movement pattern of my shoulder blade, particularly if I lift my arm up like this. It just kicks ever so slightly. And that's because, and I've seen quite a lot of top archers do this, at this point, the shoulder flexes in. There's a little activation, I believe it's the pec minor and the carcoid process, just flexing over the top. It's really interesting. And that sets up the front end biomechanically correct to give you a really, really strong, really, really aggressive front end. Really stable, it's just biomechanically efficient. And that's the type of efficiency we're trying to get with the backhand. We don't want it tight and square, we want it relaxed, stretched out, floppy, just like this. This is a great drill. Hook the string with 3 fingers and then just flap your wrist. We don't want the thumb up. Thumb up once again creates tension. We want it stretched out and down, but don't create tension with it. Hold it in a position, but try not to tense things. So we have the hand really relaxed. It's really easy. Really, really straightforward. So now we've got a bit of the idea. We'll go through a few draws just with that rotation, rolled over, relaxation element. And it's really, really easy. So we push away from ourselves, we lift up with the elbow, the hand just sits in place wherever it wants to, and then we lift the 2 arms up, pull them down onto the lats, and then we transfer back. And the hand sits there, stretched out, led from the elbow the entire time. Push down and away, elbow out, lift it up, down onto the lats, and back up. It's really easy. Gonna get my 4-master out soon. Got an Astra Archery 4-master I need to break in. what you'll find with this lack of tension in your hand is that your release breaks through the shot far easier because you're not having to let go of this unnecessary manufactured tension. So there you have it, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this little bit of archery at home. I'd really appreciate it if you could share this to your clubmates. I know there's a lot of people who are locked in at home, and even if they don't have a cliniband, you can follow along with that stuff with, as I said, a piece of string. So if you'd like this video and share it, I'd really appreciate it. Gets the message out to all those avid archers stuck at home, not able to do their sport. Well, I hope you have a great day, guys. Have fun, stay safe, and stay inside.